How does CondorDM run combat in tabletop role-playing games? Well, let's be clear. CondorDM, me, I run Ad&d Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd Edition. In the tabletop role-playing game hobby, I am considered an old-school game master. Now, I want to be very clear. There are some things that I am capable of doing that many people tell me that they are not capable of doing, and some even believe that you cannot do what it is that I say I can do. Anyway, let's get started. When it comes to game mechanics for combat, the mechanic has to make sure that it isn't slowing the game down, or I remove the mechanic, or I adjust the mechanic. Even if the mechanic seems good, like it makes sense, if it slows the pace of combat down to the point where it ruins the experience, again, it's either removed or adjusted. Make sure this one area is always covered well by you no matter how you do it, and that is initiative, especially in an old school D&D game. But that probably plays out in a way that you need to cover it well in the newer editions as well. Initiative is something I can get into the weeds on. I never just give group versus group initiative. I don't run it like normal people. I examine the situation. If the enemy has the upper hand in that situation over there during the larger combat, that enemy and the PC, well, the PC will go last. If the player character, the PC, has the advantage, most likely they automatically go first. I will not call for an initiative roll. Now, there could be individual fights like that in the larger fight where the two people I will be calling for an initiative roll. That means between an NPC and a PC. And there's a larger combat going on, so you might notice that I'm not calling for initiative from everyone. And that is because I can remember all of this round to round like breathing air. I can remember the most complicated, situation where I've leveled out an initiative roll. And I started on, a cycle there. I know what's going on there. But I know everything. And even as things change, it's easy for me to keep track and go on and no problems. I don't have to write anything down. I have no problem keeping track of this initiative. I know that's a very complicated, nuanced way of coming at it, but I like it that way. I like it because it's realistic to me. Like, I can get down into the weeds, but what it does, it allows me to not call for an initiative roll if one's not necessary, right? And then to call for one in different parts of the combat where one is necessary. Either way for you, Game Master, you want this area covered quickly. Doesn't matter how you do it, you can do the group thing, you can do whatever, but just don't linger on the initiative and don't get stuck on it, don't get yourself confused, come up with something that works, take notes, do whatever. Now, the pace and speed of combat is really important. It can make combat exciting, it can keep players immersed. But here's another thing that you want to do. As a game master, I will roleplay with the enemies with the expectation that the players roleplay back with their characters if they want to. The enemies I'm controlling might spit at you or yell at you or say something to you, but I definitely treat hack and slash combat like a part of roleplay. And I make sure roleplay is happening. I don't just say terms like hit, miss, miss all the time. As a game master, that is another area where I'm really good. I can describe every outcome, from the misses to the hits, and I can do it in such a varied way that I'm not repeating things over and over again right away. You might hear a similar line, 6 sessions later, right? It might be stuck in somewhere, but my players don't notice, and I promise if you were sitting at my table playing my game, you wouldn't notice that it's repetitive or repeated. You just wouldn't care. It wouldn't matter. I space everything out, and usually on most statements, you probably won't hear them for weeks or months. And some statements I'll make, maybe I'll never say that again that way. A lot of guys tell me they can't do that they'll become repetitive, so they have to say bloodied or hit, miss, miss. I'm just not into it, and sorry, I'm not limited that way. I can actually come up with something all the time, and it's varied enough that it's not repetitive, and it's fun. It really is fun. It paints up the scene, gives, something to the imagination of the players when they're trying to picture how the fight is going. When you just do hit, miss, miss, there's a lot less of that. and I want players to role play with the fight. I want them to have the combat in their imagination like they would at any other part of the game. So let's go over all of that one more time. So you want to get rid of mechanics that slow combat down. Either get rid of them or adjust. Have whatever system you use for initiative or figuring out who goes first and who goes last, have that down pat, get that cleaned up, know what you're doing. Role play in combat. The speed factor is good, but the element of entertainment through role play, man, it can keep players' imaginations flowing and keep people excited. Painting the picture of the combat through description of the outcome of dice rolls, from misses to hits to everything. Say something more than bloodied or hit, miss, and you'll be doing something great for your players. Do all that. That formula, for me, has worked for decades. I've never had players complain about my combat. Every player has complimented me about the combat in my game, and I mean every player, thousands over decades. So, you might not believe what I'm saying, it might not be your cup of tea, but I'll tell you this, I ran thousands of gaming sessions with this combat, and it works like a charm. It works smoothly. It's a mint thing to do. Like, it's money, right? So I'm telling you, like I would tell you any other piece of advice I give you for tabletop role-playing games, you can take this to the bank. It works. Anyway, for now, take care.